Rev up your engines!
Well, it's not just me whining about Tesla, it's the people that buy them. A man by the name of Hong traded in his one-year-old Model Y for a new Model Y because he had to have the newest, greatest thing, right? And now he says the car is unacceptable, that the quality is just crap. So Dylan Hong goes out and buys a 2022 Model Y. He had a 2021, right? I have no sympathy for people who fall for this crap. It's the same kind of fools that buy a cell phone every year because, oh, this one now, it can butter your toast. You got to get the cell phone, right? Well, the same thing with these Model Y. He said he got it and it was dirty. They didn't even clean it. They deliver him his new car and it's dirty. It's hilarious, right? He had loose components in the cabin. Black smudges he couldn't get out the windows. Improperly trimmed weird noise coming from the dash. A glove box that won't even close, right? Scratched leather on the dash and a slightly damaged side view mirror. Then he's driving and hears a high-pitched whine coming from the motors in the back. I have no sympathy for the guy. He already owned one. He got another one? Oh, because he wanted the bells and whistles? He got bells and whistles, all right. Whistling noises coming from the car. He got just what he was asking for. Here's what he says about Tesla. I've had continued issues getting Tesla to properly address the things that are wrong with my car. This is not the customer experience that I was expecting or hoping for. They should have asked me. I would have warned them ahead of time. They got some of the worst service out there. They don't care. That's the problem. Most dealerships don't treat people all that well to begin with. They just want their money, right? With Tesla, you're doubly screwed. If at least you get a Ford or Toyota, Honda, you can take it to guys like me to work on them, right? Tesla, hardly anybody can work on him. He doesn't share his information. We mechanics can get the information to fix it. There's very few parts available for him. He's using all his parts to build cars. He doesn't have a real backlog of spare parts, so you need a part, you might be waiting months to get a part for the thing on top of it. But, you know, this is a brand new vehicle that's already having problems. All I have to say is, come on, people, you only got yourself to blame for stuff like that. Because if you accept crap, they will continue to make crap. Tesla's made poorly built cars from the get-go when they were building them in tents in Fremont, California, because the robots old Elon was making that we're going to make Terminator cars, right, that build themselves. That didn't work out too well. So he had people in tents building the cars. The quality's always been, and it certainly doesn't seem to be getting much better, but people keep buying them. So he has no incentive to build them any better. The old saying used to be, build a better mousetrap, and the world will come knocking on your door and buy them, right? In his case, he builds a sloppy things and people are buying them, so why should he change his philosophy? I can't blame him on that. They're so stupid, they're buying them anyways. Glue that on sideways, who cares? I just find it hilarious that this dude already had one, but he had to get a new one the next year because he wanted all the bells and whistles, right? Well, like I said, he got bells and whistles, all kinds of noises. Show me this 333 says, what are your opinions on a Nissan Quest for $900? Private seller, 190,000 miles, clean title, runs and drives. $900 is nothing for a car these days. If it runs and drives and the title's clean, what the heck? Drive it around for at least 10-15 minutes to make sure it's not overheating, that it shifts gears and all that stuff. But if it does, I am not a Nissan fan, but $900 is nothing for a car with 190,000 miles. Don't plan on putting 20,000 miles a year on it for the next few years or you spend a fortune repairing it. But if you want kind of a knock-around car for $900 and you road test it for at least 15 minutes, go ahead and buy it. What the heck? If it's running and shifting, okay, but just be forewarned. Crap's going to break on that thing with that kind of mileage, and for that price, there's probably something already wrong. I mean, if you got a mechanic or a friend that knows a little bit about cars and has a scan tool, bring them with you. Let them check it out. Erdna says, I got a 2005 Honda CR-V with a P1009 code. The model has a timing chain, quite low mileage. It's 180,000 kilometers, so that's like, what, less than 100,000 miles. Here's what happens with those things. They have variable valve timing, right? Pray, it's this, and it often is. Dirty oil or low oil. The oil pressure is used to operate the variable valve timing on top of the engine. If your oil either gets dirty or gets low, that won't work. It'll trip that code. Now, let's say you've been bad and you don't change your oil enough. You got sludge in it. You want to clean it out. My friend Bernie's got a real good cleaner. It's ATS in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You get a bottle, you pour it in the engine oil, you rev the engine up to like 1,800 RPMs for like 15-20 minutes. The fan in front of your car so it doesn't get hot. Then you change the oil filter. That may fix fix it entirely. If not, then you got to take apart the solenoids. They just unscrew from the top of the engine and look inside. They have screens. The screens might be clogged up. They're so bad, and then you'd have to physically clean them. But Bernie's stuff cleans pretty well. So a lot of times just flush, then change the oil and filter, and that will go away. Now, if it doesn't go away, you could have something physically wrong with the variable valve timing. But a Honda engine that's got less than 100,000 miles on it, generally they don't wear out. It's just they get dirty because people don't change the oil enough. It's very important to change your oil, not just to get the dirt out, but to keep things like the variable valve timing system. They got tiny little holes in them, and if they get clogged up with the oil, it will trip the head coat. So start there. Probably fix the whole thing. Patent 33 says, my daughter's got a Chevy Cobalt that won't start. 07, 166,000 miles. She was driving the car, it died. I thought it was out of gas, but it wasn't. I checked the oil dipstick, there was no oil in it. So I changed the oil and filter, and now it has zero compression in every cylinder. Help. Who knows what your daughter actually did? People have a tendency of lying to their fathers because they don't want to admit they destroyed something. I've even had customers in the past. They'll tow me a car, and I'll say, please tell me the truth so we don't waste any time having me analyze crap that shouldn't even waste, because I'll know what it is immediately if you tell me the truth. So one guy said, I was driving on the road and the temperature gauge overheated, but I didn't watch it, and then it started acting up and I saw it was in the hot, and then the engine just stopped. Great. Now I know the truth. Forget it. If you want to fix the car, get another engine. Don't try to fix the one that's in it. If you overheat the engine at highway speeds and it goes until it stops running, you've destroyed the thing. Rebuilding it costs too much money. In her case, she's obviously destroyed the engine. You have zero compression in them all. She ran it with not enough oil. There'd be so many problems. You would not attempt to fix that car. I've had people attempt to fix those things over the years, and it always bit them in the rear end. They'll say, oh, it blew the head gasket. They replaced the head gasket. Then they put the head gasket, they get it, and then it barely runs because the bearings are gone, the cam's worn, the pistons are worn, everything got worn out from not having enough oil in the car. So she obviously ruined it. It is a Cobalt. They're not really worth all that much. If you really want to try to get it on the road, try some junkyards for used engines and put a used engine in it. Don't take it apart and try to fix it. She ran out of oil and blew the engine up. Don't fix that engine. If you do want to fix it, get a junkyard engine or just junk the whole car and start from scratch. They aren't very good cars. 166,000 miles is often pretty much the lifespan of those things anyway. Obviously, it was burning oil because it hardly had any oil in it. She wasn't adding it in. It's okay if you got an oil-burning engine if you're religious about it. Like my grandson. He drove his Camry that burns off from Tennessee to Rhode Island and back, had no problems because he added oil as it burnt when he filled it up at the gas station. His daughter didn't, so now, too late. Me, I'd just get rid of the whole car. But if you want to try to fix it, get a used engine. Brian Wick said, should I add AC compressor oil? When a car runs low on 134A, do you add oil? You don't say that in your videos. Here's the problem. Depends on how much leaked out, and no one knows. Let's say you got a real small leak and you don't see wet goo anywhere. Well, in that case, not much oil leaked out, just put in refrigerant. The problem is, let's say you got oily parts and some oil leaked out. It's impossible to tell how much oil to put in without emptying the whole system, flushing it out, and then putting a factory load. There's no dipstick on AC systems. You got no idea. If you want just an educated guess, if you say the compressor's all oily looking, but you can add refrigerant that's working again, and maybe put half an ounce of oil. Guess at that. But realize it's just an educated guesswork because there is no way of figuring out how much oil needs to be added other than emptying the system, flushing it out, which costs a fortune, then putting the factory load that the data systems, I use all data, it'll say this system holds so many ounces of oil, you put it back in. But that's the only way. Anything else is just educated guesswork. Renee says, I got snapped lugs on my wheel. How do I get them off? A good friend of mine tried to change the tire, but all of them snapped 3/4 of the way off. Now I have the other quarter stuck and I can't change the tire. Help me. You obviously don't want to spend a fortune. Here's the easiest way to do it. Friend did that, he'd be able to do this. If he doesn't have one, have him go to a company like Harbor Freight Tool. You can get an electric air grinder with an abrasive wheel for $29. And they work okay. You could cut the ones that are on off. You'd put new ones in. I have a video how to replace broken lug nuts on your car, Scotty. You can watch it on YouTube. See how easy it is. Once you get the old ones off, and then there'll be little pieces left inside, you get a drift hammer, hit it with a chisel, whack in there, you pop them out, then you put the new ones on the inside and double nut them. You put one nut that's bigger and then the right size nut, and you tighten it and it sucks them into the axle, and then you can put them on. not that hard to do on most vehicles. But getting it off, try an angle grinder, the electric ones. I have air ones too. But then you got to buy an air compressor, hoses, all that crap. Those cheap little $29 ones you can get at Harbor Freight Tools work perfectly fine. I got one here in Rhode Island. I've been cutting all kinds of stuff with it. Railings, you name it. It still works fine. It was only a $29 one. And they'll cut anything off. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.